Allison's coming. She had an accident, injury. She might zoom in. She's got burns on her hands and her feet. She might zoom in, but other than that, she won't be here. I'd like to, since we don't have a sitting president right this second, I'd like to kick us off with that conversation. The last time we were together, there was discussion of Mark taking the reins of the presidency, and we need to make that confirmation. You good with that?
Feels okay about that?
Mhm.
So someone needs to make a motion so we can have him begin.
Well, we'll have to start the meeting first, so, right? Like officially
It's
do our
like-
roll call and all that.
We can do roll call first.
Yeah.
Mark Evans.
Chris Thompson?
Ashley Hiller.
AJ McGinnis.
Emily Lee.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we're good to go. What did I just say?
Make a motion.
I move that Mark steps in as our new board president.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Welcome, Mark.
We're on number 3.
Thanks, I think.
We're on number 3.
All right, so
You got this.
We're on number 3. Okay.
Yeah, it's right here.
It's
It's in
right.
this corner.
Pledge of allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, district update.
Right, so I will update you. I'm sorry we don't have the most up-to-date personnel changes. We have several new hires, and I cannot honestly remember their names or exactly, but we are currently filled except one position at high school. Since,
Susan, can you make sure we get that in the next, because we have to approve it
yeah, we'll get it updated.
in the next agenda?
Yes, we, since last month, we have, Tim Smithy, who was a teacher at high school, has gotten a coordinator job at Rogers. He has left. Beth Sparks from elementary has moved, and so has Crystal Lewis. So we have those 3, in the resignation area, and we'll update the replacements.
But we filled their positions? Okay.
Okay, moving forward. Enrollment report. So I'm bringing to you a different format that we're moving towards to give you a little bit more of an insight on where our student numbers are. I copied this from another charter school, and that several charters use this process. And it really also helps us identify where our staffing is. So this is not the most current. So Susan will, because this is her first time pulling this for the meeting, she'll pull a more current one for next time. The current enrollment plus the acceptances are what equates to our number. The 844 on what you're looking at and the 209.
So it's just like the elementary and pre-K kids haven't gone through the enrollment
Correct.
process. Okay,
Correct.
got it.
Yes. The pre-K is not in e-school yet, and K is not in yet. So that's where those zeros are. On the column that says class size, what that now says, because this was a little confusing and I wanted to change that, that is where we're putting our staffing. So based on the state minimum standards for class sizes, I'm equating the staffing based on the enrollment. So that's going to tell you, and it helps guide us as a budget end when we've got kids leaving, or we making sure that we're staffing to the appropriate budget number. From what we see right now, we're low in kindergarten and we're low in first grade. So what we're going to end up doing based on the numbers is we'll probably have a K-1 split. And so we've not had that before, but what that looks like is we'll do the initial screening for kindergartners. We'll pull out some of the higher level Ks and we'll put them into a teacher that will manage those few Ks in with the first grade. And then what we'll continually make sure that their maturation is equating to that class. So if at any time they're struggling or whatever, we'll reevaluate. But that's gonna how we're gonna be able to have a set number and not have a very, very small kindergarten classes. We'll see how that goes.
The work you've done with pre-K will start to feed into that. and that'll look
Yes.
Different. This is our year in between, right? Where we
Yes.
don't have the benefit of the pre-K feeding.
Yes, and there've been a lot of conversations of why that pocket of kindergartners is low. And some of it, although I don't know 100%, some of that has to do, I feel like, with the education freedom account with the vouchers. Because parents can do some of that at home, or they're offsourcing some of that daycare responsibilities out and they're not going full K.
We're seeing a lot of people whose kids turn 5 and are eligible for those funds that were on the fence of whether or not they would send their kids to kindergarten, choosing to take the EFA funds and basically homeschool them, which is where Dr. Roberts is starting to offer some of our classes, right? As using those funds, right? To get some of that in. But we're seeing a lot more choose to wait to go into kindergarten, like officially, until the 6th year.
Yeah.
Because they can take that money and technically homeschool for their 5-year-old.
So, anyway, I will be happy to answer any questions about this. It is taking some adjustments, but it's also giving a lot more information. It talks about, the number of kids that are returning. It talks about where our acceptance rates are. It talks about, the verification, our potential to be full. All of those things are great information to look at a broad scan. So we will move forward using this format. So the current numbers we've got right now are 1039. That's almost 100 more students than we had last year or that we ended with. That's fantastic. And so we will continue moving forward. We do see that trajectory coming in from 6th to 7th grade at the high school, which is fantastic that we are prepared for that, or not 7th and 8th grade at high school, that we're prepared for that with this middle school model that we're rolling out. So really pleased on where we are with numbers. We'll push out another kind of wave of recruitment when we have our back to school night. So we're going to offer sort of a tailored tour for families, and we're gonna start pushing that media out for families that haven't quite yet committed. So those back to school nights are gonna be the 8th and the 11th, I believe. And so we'll continue to advertise that, and so families will be picking up back to school information, but then we'll also be giving very, very succinct tours. And the beauty of that is all the staff will be here, so they can really have a more personalized approach.
What kind of churn do you typically see after school has started and kids, families start to see like where their other siblings may land, things like that? Like basically what's that churn look like?
Sometimes we do see flux because some families will enroll in a lot of different charters that have wait lists. But we don't know. It's not ever been anything that has put us at shock. We'll have kids coming in that are in the same situation somewhere else. They get to couple of days in and they're not liking the format or whatever. But it's never been a huge shock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question.
For the kindergartners that are being, is integrated the right word with first graders, what kind of, the conversation with their parents, what does that look like? Is that like, obviously, are they gonna have an option for that? Cause I know some of them won't want to be with.
Yeah, they'll have an option, but
Okay.
probably what we'll be looking for is reading ready.
Yeah.
And some of those kids that are reading ready are ready. And so, of course, it's a very parent choice conversation. And we won't know exactly how many we need until we have everybody in their seats to see who actually shows up. And then we'll make those determinations. It's easier to bring on someone than it is to let someone go when we don't have enough. So that's kind of the mindset. Okay, Mark.
Do we have any comments from the public?
We do not.
The June meeting minutes, is there any discussion that needs to be made or a motion to approve them?
Sorry, I moved to approve June minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
The financials, are we still working in period 13?
Yes.
So I move that we table approval of the June financials to August. This will allow our finance team to close out the year. So what's different about public school finance is that July is period 1 of the new year, but period 13 of the old year, which allows them to kind of transfer in between funds if there's any delayed funding from federal level coming in, you know, literally bills that come in July 2nd that belong back in June. So these really kind of are, they're almost done financials, but we wouldn't want to approve them as like year-end financials because they're not accurate.
So
So,
we do August to in August?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll have both.
And we're
And there's
pretty-
not a lot of changes to be made, but it's just best practice to not approve them because there is the potential, like they can make changes in period 13 up to 7/31. So.
Okay.
So I move we table the approval of June financials to August
Question.
for that reason.
Is there, in Arkansas, do you do amend budgets?
But
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
So
we
this
can
isn't-
approve amendments. And you're not, sorry, can someone second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. You're not proposing we approve this budget tonight, right?
It is our draft budget. There are some unknowns. We haven't gotten our, period 1 funding in. We're making some estimates, so we're totally okay with pushing that until we
So
have certainty.
typically, we're not required to approve this budget until September meeting. We don't like to push it that long, but, my concern would be if there are unknowns, let's just wait, but also, have you gotten any word about, the freeze on federal funding and how that might affect our budget?
So yes, so our Title I is gonna be fine. What's in jeopardy is like everyone else is our Title II and IV. So it's our PD money that could have some deficit in it, and our, Ls.
So ARPA Learning is covered by a grant right now. But we have lots of English language learners and we use those funds not only to fund salaries, but also materials. So we're gonna have to watch that really closely.
Hopefully they will approve that. So the feds are holding it up right now, and once it's approved, that it will trickle down. Our big relief was that they approved the Title I. That's our biggest chunk of money that we use for salaries and some resources and supplies and things like that, but a lot of salaries.
So our Title I funding in Arkansas is like low income.
Is that just approved for just this year and they have to revisit it again next year? Okay.
It's funded on a per student basis.
I agree we wait on the budget. I'd like to spend a little more time on it too. I think it's pretty important that we look at it fairly closely this year.
Yeah, I mean, just like most other charter schools, your biggest chunk is gonna be your salaries.
Salaries.
And Dr. Roberts and her team do a good job of using those title funds, right? So you're not dipping into operating until you absolutely have to, but you know, with ELL funds being limited and there's just moves to be made there, so. I would say let's just give you a little more time to see what you have to work with.
Someone want to second that?
I second it.
Thank you.
We've also talked to Mark about, you know, our advancement committee, kind of looking at setting some goals for raising money. And so it may be that Dr. Roberts has to come back and say, this is where our budget deficit is, and kind of that's where our goals are set from there.
So moving forward, 6.4, so this is a pretty big document, but I wanted to provide it just reference. So I listened in on the conversation from the Department of Ed about their changes to the charter renewal process. So previously, in past administrations, the process was pretty stringent as far as there was a lot of information required. There was a lot of accountability. Not that there shouldn't be, but there was a lot of processes to go through when you came up for renewal. And so what they are trying to do right now is change that mindset to be really a supportive process. So it's not a gotcha. It's monitoring a lot throughout the period of accreditation and letting you know in advance and giving you some support and time to make changes as needed. The Department of Ed has a goal that by 2030, there are no F charters. I think that's fantastic. There shouldn't be an F charter.
F charters.
So we are nowhere near that, but I like that they're really have the mindset now that they want to work with charters to help them as best they can. And if they can't make those changes, then they won't completely remove their license. So they're kind of saying, we're giving you all the support and that's up to you if you can't do it. What we will do as our strategic plan, and we'll talk more about this when we have our next board retreat, is how these goals will align into our strategic plan. So we're constantly evaluating ourselves on the metrics that we know we're going to be evaluated on.
Can you remind us of our renewal date again? I know
We
you told
go up
us.
in 27, 28. So we have 2 years. And right now, they are very, very happy with charters in general. So it's all going to depend on, well, I'm not worried. We're doing good work. And so we're just going to make sure we maintain that work, and we're constantly checking ourselves on what's needed. So what that process will look like is the Department of Ed can pull our data at any time. So there's all these cycle reports that we have to submit throughout the year in a certain period of time. We submit our cycle reports, it goes into a big spreadsheet. They are tracking everything. So a lot of information is there. They will continue to evaluate, and then they may or may not do a site visit. They may or may not, want to do some more in-depth conversations based on where we're relying on the metrics. There's like a graph with some colors on it. So really they want to see us in that blue area, which is exceeding, and that's where our goals will be. Some of the areas that all the charters in the state were in this meeting, some of the areas that we have concerns about as far as teacher retention, every charter in the state said the same thing, that teacher retention is a challenge, which made me feel not good, but it made me feel like there's some commonalities in some of our problems. So it's a lot of teachers decided it's hard work, they don't want to do it, or they go to a district that will have more time. We're given them 4 weeks off. And so we'll go to a district that they don't have that extra time off. And so it's just a navigation of spaces.
Is there any talk in these meetings, about the pay that charters can offer versus their bigger district counterparts?
There was, for the first time, I heard them talking about the salary negotiation. And so what we've talked about, and I'll kind of catch Ashley and Chris up, is because charters don't have the ability to claim property taxes, we don't get property tax revenue. So whereas you pay your property tax and it goes to the big traditional school in your area, they don't divide that out to charters. And that has to be a legislative act. So, but there was talk for the first time about addressing that.
It's
Other-
hard in Arkansas because we pull from so many different counties. The charters pulls from so many different counties. So even though our school physically sits in Benton County, Benton County says, well, we don't want to fund you. You're taking kids from Fayetteville, you're taking kids from Springdale. It's not fair that we have to share our money with you. So there's a lot of fights back and forth, but
Yeah,
you know, Bentonville Public Schools can say they can take a mill to the ballot in November and say, we're gonna use this increase on your property taxes to increase teacher salaries, and people will get on board with that. But we don't get any of that money. We only get per student funding. So we're very limited on what we can spend on our salaries.
we do have to submit, as one of our reports, the actual location where every single one of our students go to. And in that concept of dividing out percentages of property taxes, that's where that would come from. They literally would look at our student population and say, okay, 3% come from Gravette, and that's how they would figure that out. It's got to go into a legislative agreement and, but other states do. So we are one of the few states that do not have property revenue. So,
If
What
that
I-
were to happen, it's years out. Right.
Probably. I mean, the fact that they're discussing it is really good news.
It's a
very good
product.
news. It's very good news.
But I think that's kind of the answer when we keep getting hit. Like, they can't hold us accountable for teacher turnover if we keep saying, like, you're only funding 50,000 and we're paying, you're only funding the minimum, and not even that sometimes.
Part of the other conversation from charter leaders are, we want to retain just as quality teachers. And so you're putting us at a disadvantage. And it's not that we don't have quality teachers. We have very dedicated teachers. But it is an inequitable feature to this sort of lack of funding. Another thing that I think is, a good conversation that we're beginning to evolve is that, facilities and all of these things that are dependent upon that funding that we get are also impacted. So that it creates inequitable spaces. So we're in a good spot that this is beginning to kind of come about. And I'm hopeful, and I'm very hopeful that with the trends that other states are doing, hopefully that kind of bleeds into it. So this is and I told the staff this when I talked about it, it's a great opportunity to reach out to your legislators. This is an important part to go into equitable education opportunities for kids. So anyway, I wanted to share this document just to let you know that it exists. It's newly come out. This is a new part of their sort of Office of Charter Renewal at the Department of Ed. And I think it's a great benefit. So I'm really proud that we have a guidebook to kind of know, and we will definitely use it. Any questions?
Child nutrition.
Child nutrition. So at our last meeting, we talked about having the ability to push forth long-term debt into collections. We've got some families that incur a lot of nutrition debt and they just leave us with it. And if they leave for another school, there's no way we can track them other than put them into collections. And so I told you guys I would bring a proposed letter of what that would look like. And the vision of this is, our goal is that every family fill out a free and reduced lunch form, because that helps us in lots of different ways. Whether they qualify or not, we still ask that they fill it out. Some families refuse to do it. There is some feeling that they won't qualify, I don't need to waste my time. they're absolutely right. There's some that feel like it's a federal tracking system, or they're disclosing, some of their personal information. The personal information never gets out. It is really a confidential thing. But what this letter does is it basically explains the process, and when they check that they refuse or they're not going to fill it out, they agree that if they incur debt and they don't pay for it, that we will take them to collections.
What is the timing on this? Because this is such a painful conversation to have, because we were talking about feeding children. But I don't want to get to the end of the year and send a parent to collections at the end of the year for $800
No.
when we could have addressed it much earlier in the year.
So Emily sends out letters to parents. I think that threshold is $10. I mean, she starts sending them out when they become in arrears. And so they're getting letters all the time, all year long. At a certain point, when it gets to be, and we can even determine what that number is, she begins making the phone calls and she begins to say, come in and make payments. We want to work with you. We can't ever deny a student from getting a meal, and we would never do that. What we can deny them is to coming back and purchasing some of the a la carte things, the chips, the cheese sticks, the things that we actually earn a tiny bit of revenue on. They can absolutely not do that if they don't have money in their account or if they have a debt. But a lot of it is our elementary families that they're just sort of out of touch, because some of the kids know that they'll try it once, and if it doesn't work, they're not going to keep on doing it. They'll have a conversation with parents. But a lot of it's elementary families, and a lot of them also, as she's called them, will say, she's like, you didn't fill out the form. Let me walk you through that form. Let me explain to you why. And we'll find families that qualify.
Do we have this in 3 languages? When we get this in 3 languages?
Yes. This is just for you guys to preview. We'll have in all the languages. Emily's going to be at all of the open houses when parents come in to pick up all the packets and all the stuff. She'll sit with her table. You can do it online. You can do it with her. She'll have a computer. So we'll try to make that, it won't just be her too. There'll be other staff that will help her. But we really had a push for this last year before last, and we qualify to be a Title I elementary school. So that means that over 40% of our families at elementary qualify for free and reduced lunch. That's a huge bonus for us, because with that additional title being a Title I school, we get additional funding. So we were 1.7% off from being Title I at high school last year.
And they just need to fill out the forms.
They just need to fill out the forms. So literally, we had a list of people that did not fill them out, and we sent letters home. We called them up to they called them up to the office. They passed out sealed envelopes. Please take this home. We just needed, but the cutoff is October 1. So a lot has to happen by October 1. But I say that because if we do qualify at high school, we would be a Title I district. And so that would be additional revenue, not a ton, but it's additional revenue that we would be able to use. That Title I money is for intervention support, tutoring, staffing, resources, anything that a kid living in poverty or close to poverty might need to be more educationally successful.
Can we add that October 1st deadline into this letter
Yes.
so that they understand, right? We strongly encourage you to complete a free and reduced meal application as soon as possible. But they need to know, like, you can't come back in February when you have a $400 balance and fill it out.
They can, but we can't eliminate their debt. They won't go for our Title I status.
So I think let's put the date in here just so that they know, like, you need to do this ahead of time.
And this is,
Do they sign this with like their enrollment paperwork? Is that where this belongs?
that's the vision. It's going to be attached to the form. So if they choose not to do it, they're gonna check that, and we're gonna take that, and then we're going to keep that on file.
And at what balance will they be referred to collections? Or is it a time of year?
Well, that's a good conversation that I need you guys to have an agreement on, that we put this out there.
This
Um,
letter is only signed if they don't fill out the form, right? Like, just to be clear.
Yep.
And you need us to adopt this letter, right?
And an agreed upon amount that's determined by the board of what you think the threshold should be for this collections to start processing out.
What's the average amount of debt that we have,
Um,
or the average debt?
we've had
I
some
was gonna
families.
say, we've written checks the last 2 years for about 20,000 both years. So,
$20,000?
So,
What's the?
Ashley and her
Guys,
very,
no.
very generous
No.
families.
I
Ashley and
remember
her,
2 years ago, it was worse.
yeah,
And why it was
they
worse,
have been very generous, Ashley and her family,
to take care of it.
to take care of it.
but I mean, that was like district wide.
And
Yes.
I'm
But-
100% for feeding kids. I'm a huge proponent of it. I love this new free breakfast for everybody. I liked during COVID when we didn't even have to worry about any of this. But families just not making any effort and just knowing that nobody's gonna hold them accountable, so we're racking up $20,000 in lunch debt? No.
Yeah, and we have to take that out, so it cuts down on the programs that we offer when we have to pay it back. Some families will go up to, and especially if they have multiple kids, owing us $3,500,
What does a lunch cost?
$4.
I realize I'm supposed to be the math person.
I know, but
It's-
So like $80 a month.
For me, it's hard to put a number to it, because if there are 20 accounts that got us to that, or if there are 120, then the number is different in
Well,
my
if you
mind.
eat every day,
Mhm.
right, and it's $20 a week, that's $80 a month. If you're 2 months behind, if you're 60 days behind, you're $160 behind. I mean, is it unreasonable to say you reach $200 and we're done, like, you're more than 2 months behind?
At what point do we stop the snacks and the extra things?
Well, at debt
at all.
The
We
minute
stop.
they're-
Zero.
Yeah,
As soon as
$0
you're zero, that
on your
stops.
account.
So you
Yeah.
know you're in arrears.
Cause you
because your
can get
kiddo can't
online
get
and
the
add to your
extra.
lunch balance.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to come in or send a check or none of that. You know, and this is not a comfortable situation.
No,
right.
No.
No one wants to do this. And it's very unfortunate we are in this spot, but we do have families that know that there is not an accountability process.
And what is the reduced lunch price?
It's like $2.75. It's, yeah. I think we will have a little bit of a help. As Adrian mentioned, the legislators have passed free breakfast for everybody, which is fantastic. And we're really gonna work that up. We've gotten some grants. We're gonna do really grab and go breakfast. So even if a kid's late, they're gonna grab their breakfast and eat it in class. So we're gonna do smoothie bars for high school. We're gonna do grab and go things that we're hopefully, it's such a wonderful thing to get kids fed and ready to learn. So that will take down a little bit of some of the debt because they were eating breakfast too and then lunch. But again, these are not families that are filling out the form, because if they qualify, they qualify. If they're on food stamps, they instantly qualify and they don't even have to fill out the form. They just put their number down. So it's really a pretty easy process, and we've worked with them. We did phone banks, we did all trying to get as much money back as we could. But
I mean, for the record, when we gave to Frank Tillery and Northside, each school was about 12,000 apiece. And I mean, that was just to elementary schools, so.
If you are 90 days behind on lunch payments, 90 days behind on lunch payments, you're at $240.
What is
So
the, do
even
we
if
know
we,
the cost of collection?
Even if we make the
There-
$250.
There is like
Something.
3% processing fee.
The number that we set, so if we say it's 60 days, right? and
No, but they need
$160,
to cover the collection
Well, if they
fees.
collect the 160, we get 97% of that? Is that how that works? If collections takes care of it?
But we
Yeah,
can
we-
set up
but we will-
collections
yeah.
to have the family pay the collection fee.
Yeah.
Have them pay
Yeah,
in
We'll add that
addition
in there,
to.
and to that point, I don't think that's in this letter, so we will add that in there.
And you will be required to pay the collection fee.
How about with the, I mean, I don't mean to like sound harsh or shaming anybody, but that number that you shared, 20 grand is shocking. I mean,
It's
is that,
shocking.
can that be used in our, say, marketing? But as we communicate, like, this isn't just about protecting your information, like, this impacts the whole school.
Yeah, it's a very good point. We can share the total before we've had generous donations to cover it, because again, it comes out of our operating.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to your point, adding a line to this letter that says in the whatever school year, whether it's 22-23 or 23-24, in that school year, lunch debt that the school had to cover or that we lost in our budget totaled, I don't even think I wanna know the number if you paid $20,000.
I think that impact, I mean, hits home when you start to see that cuts into other programs.
And if you think about how many families, if it takes $250 to get 90 days behind, think about how many families and how many accounts that takes to get all the way to over $20,000. I mean, like, there's a lot of people not paying their bills.
There's a point where the number becomes so large that it isn't, you can't handle it.
It's
anymore.
insurmountable,
You can't-
yeah.
We're actually doing a disservice by letting it get that long. in my
Agreed.
opinion. 30 days, 60 days, I don't know what that looks like. $160, in my opinion, if it gets much more than that, they may not have the ability to then take care of it.
That's tough, because if we wait to your, if you wait all the way to $250 and then they're still eating, and now collections is reaching out and collections is now charging them a fee, it's a lot easier to be pressured into coming up with $50 or $75 than it is
We're
$400.
doing them a disservice by not holding them accountable for enough.
So do you guys, what is your date limit? What do you think?
From an administrative side, is it easier for whoever's administering this to do a date range or a dollar amount, or is it either or?
That's a good question.
I think it's a dollar amount to Emily's point, because what if they do make a payment, but they can't quite get it up to where it needs to be, right?
I would
A
rather
dollar
them
amount
pay $50 on a $200 bill
Yes.
and not go to collections than not pay anything and just keep racking it up.
And the thing too is, it's not, for the families that are in really bad shape, we work with them.
Right.
It's the ones that could pay it if they just didn't let it build up. And when they've got 3 kids and each of them are owing $400, $375, it's a big amount, but but then it's like, well, let's go to a different school, and that debt stays here.
And I
Wait,
mean,
more than 150?
with recent
I think it's
legislation,
$100.
that's
Sorry.
gonna, are you fine? That's gonna go after SNAP and food stamps, do we expect this to go up?
That's a good question too. I don't know.
More of a rhetorical, philosophical question.
I think it's important to note that we might have to readdress this, right? If our students lose their SNAP benefits and therefore lose their free and reduced lunch status,
Yeah, we don't.
we're gonna be in a whole
Right, yeah.
different
Mhm.
ballpark.
And we will not be the only districts. We'll have superintendents screaming about it all over the place. So, and
It's something we need
for
to watch
their
closely.
family's food too. So their whole sustainability as a family will be. But this will be, I think, and I appreciate your support on this. I think this is gonna be a very good step to helping us correct some of that and move it back into places it should be spent on. So you say $100, what is the?
I felt like I was being a harsh person, but I am all for the $100 if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Cause to your point, dragging it out is really doing them a disservice as well.
$100 is, by your math, 40 days.
Mm.
So you're aware at that point.
You've gotten letters.
Yes.
Your student
If it
knows.
gets over
unfortunately.
100, it starts to get very difficult to take care of.
Yeah, and if you've got multiple kids,
Yes.
then, you know, you're looking at potentially $300. And it'd be a lot easier to start paying down on that at that point versus $600 if we put the limit at 200.
And that's hard, but to your point, a lot of them haven't filled out the form,
Right.
right? And then that will initiate, hey, let's get the form filled out then.
And that's what we're
Before
hoping
we
this
get
letter will help us with,
Right.
that population that just kind of blow it off.
But I really want to be firm, if we're gonna do this and we're gonna set it and they're gonna sign the letter, we have to follow through. It's a little bit like, you know, attendance and filing offense. If we're gonna do this, you gotta, like, do you have the staff? Or does Emily have the time to like put this in place where it is
Yes.
kind of an automatic thing, like whatever it looks like on Fridays, she does this and she turns it in.
Yes.
Because by that point, they've already received the letter that says, if you don't pay this balance by next Friday, you're going to collections. Like, we gotta draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
And does she have the capacity to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So will that dollar amount be added to the letter, Dr. Robert?
Yeah.
Will that dollar amount be added to the letter?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll look at a revised version of this at the next meeting, right? And then adopt it? Is that how this one needs to go?
Except-
And we will
No,
vote
you need it before the open house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So,
Back to school pickups are gonna be before our next meeting.
so we need to vote to adopt this with the edits that we discussed now.
That's fine. So moved.
Hold on.
Oh,
My only
Debbie has
other
more
note
questions.
on it
Sorry.
is, I know we just added more stuff, but if we can keep it one page, if we can
Yes.
condense any of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
wordy. We'll take,
So it's
we'll
not-
reduce the words, keep it one
Yeah.
page. make
well,
it
even like
clear,
make this district website link, you know, linked under district website and not that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like make,
Just whatever we can do to keep
Yeah,
it one page.
I'll,
And shorten it.
I didn't type this, but I'll give it my draft before it's final.
I mean, this could.
Everyone signs this, right?
Only if you're not filling out
Only
the
if you
form.
don't fill out the form.
I think if everybody's gonna be sent to collections, everybody,
No, they won't be sent to collection because they didn't sign this form. Because they filled out the free and reduced lunch form, so then they're not part of our collections program, as I understand it.
Because they aren't, if they don't qualify,
I mean, yeah, if they rack up,
yeah, you have to make that very clear.
if they
I
rack up a
agree,
bill regardless.
Regardless of if they qualify, if they don't, if they sign, I think everybody has,
The application and they don't qualify, then they should have signed this form.
all right, we'll make it
I don't
to, this is what happens if lunch debt
Yeah.
occurs, period.
So everybody signs it.
So everybody signs
regardless.
it. And if you are not, if you're refusing, you're gonna acknowledge that you refuse.
Emily, are you good?
Yep, thank you.
So you second then of the
Sure,
edited
I'll
version?
Thank you.
New business, ad campaign?
So, yes, I've got some new business to add. The ad campaign is the one that I began contracting with in April. So I used some of the Charter Seed Growth Funds to work with a person that ran a digital campaign. And we invested $5,000 from the grant to roll into ads, paid ads. And then her navigation of then the filming, some of the videos of the kids, some of the updated ads, all that kind of stuff was an additional $3,500. And so she prepared kind of just the result of that that time that she spent. So I think it went really well. I think we can probably attest some of our enrollment, our recent enrollment to some of that work. She navigated the boosting of the ads on Facebook. She also navigated adding the pixel, the component on Google. So people Google search, am I saying that the right way?
That's right, you got it.
Yes. So that was an addition we hadn't done before. So I feel like, I think it was successful. We haven't had this traction, and then, she put together extraordinarily beautiful ads, like on page 67 of the 69. And, so
That's my kid, guys.
it is.
I'm okay.
I knew it. Anyway, it was a big success. So I feel like another round of her would be very beneficial. We have the grant money to pay for it. And
Especially if she could target kindergartners.
yeah. And I'd also like for her to target our intern pathways, our workforce readiness pathways in high school. Because our low pockets are also 10th, 11th, 12th. We've got low pockets of kids there, and we've got the low in K1. So,
Yeah, and she can highlight those AP test results. I mean, those were fantastic. And I know that, that's a big draw to a lot of high school kids looking to get out of their district schools is I want to go somewhere where I can have concurrent or AP choices.
yes,
I want to do it all at one time if I'm gonna make the move.
yeah.
I think the only problem you have is that a lot of kids don't do Facebook.
Yeah, this is the parent part.
A parent, yeah.
Yeah. So, which brings us into some of the grant money also paid for ads at the Malco Theaters at Promenade Mall. We've got a big one there. We've got the ad campaign at the airport, right by baggage claim.
So is any of this, to your point, Facebook, can they be on Instagram and then feed into Facebook? Like, can she do it that way? Because you might catch a few more
Yeah.
kids that way.
Yeah.
I'm not the social media person, so
Oh,
I
that
don't
was
do
about
it
the
for our
extent of the
company.
questions
The
that I
stuff
have. That Facebook knows about you,
Terrifying.
especially from like the business side of it, that you can tailor ads to, is terrifying. Like, even though you may have never even realized it, you can just tweak those ads and it is insane.
It
The
definitely
amount-
listens to me talk, right?
Same.
The kids will ask me for something and then like. the ad
Yeah,
will
I'm
pop
like,
up.
what is this? So,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
there's so many layers to it.
and yeah,
But I think we do another push as we roll into enrollment. So she's working on a perspective of kind of what the next phase 2 focus would be. We need to do we need to do a better job telling our story and really showing the things that we do. And so she's helping us get there. And the thing I like also about her is she contracts out. She's almost like she's a contractor for all these digital pieces. So she'll contract out for the filmer and so she can have them all going at the same time. It's not just her. And that's a really great strategy because it comes out quicker.
I know I'm new, but that's my world, is digital and such, so digital marketing. So if you want any board support on that, I'd be
Perfect.
happy. If you would put her in touch with me, I'd be happy to.
That'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, so the next thing we want to bring forward is our new board member. So four of you sent your feedback to me, and Ashley, Chris, Mark, Allison, in approval of Tina. And so I'm not sure if you had a chance to meet with her.
Sorry, I didn't know you needed it via
digital, but
It's
yes,
okay.
I'm also.
Okay, good. So,
Support of her.
we just need to make a motion or have any conversations.
Is there any conversation needed? I'm comfortable. I
I
spent
don't
a
have
good
any
amount of time
questions.
on the phone with Tina, and I'm very comfortable. So everybody's good?
Can I just ask one quick question?
Sure.
Because of her line of work, there's no conflict of interest, right? Because she said she has work with students at our school.
No, and she would never disclose that. We would never even know.
Okay.
And I specifically asked her if there would be any conflicts, and she doesn't see, so.
Cool.
So moved.
So
To
Mark
adopt.
makes the first
Tina.
Second.
and Chris seconds. Terrific. The other piece, and it kind of aligns with fundraising and the advancement. Thanks to the Charter Seat growth, I've gotten in contact and I've actually heard her speak. And her name is Hager Berlin, and she's out of Colorado, but she deals with charter schools across the nation. And she is going to help us with streamlining our ask. And so we've talked about in the past, parents feeling like our ask is very disjointed. Like at elementary school, we need this, and at high school, it's very different. This is different than the events where we have ticketed events. This is just the general ask. So she's gonna help us pull it all together and have one ask. And she asked me kind of what that total would look like. I try to make it reasonably attainable. But I haven't set that amount yet. I offshot and told her 200,000 because I feel like that's a doable if we pitch it in the right way. We're gonna learn a lot about that process. This is her wheelhouse.
Do we have, my only concern about choosing one number, and I didn't sit on the advancement committee this last year, so I don't know. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind is something like Space Camp, where it's a bigger number, right? Where we're having to do fundraising, and that would be a very easy item to get a business to underwrite and sponsor. As opposed to things like the teachers asking for this material or this activity or $100 here or $500 there, or, underwriting of a season of theater or underwriting of a season of choir performances would look different than one campaign. And I didn't know if there was room for both of those pieces or if we want to start smaller in the beginning and.
I do see your point. The problem that we've run across, because we have a sponsor page, and each of the areas of the visual performing arts, they have their ask. But we have so many arts
Yeah.
that they almost are cannibalizing each other for their
Oh,
ask.
for sure.
And so I haven't set the number yet. I told her something like that to give her a vision of what this initial step in would be. My next step is to have bigger conversations with the principals and the arts teachers to help identify what their most needed item is, so we can list that off as being the recipient of those funds once obtained.
I think that's important to make sure you're keeping equity in mind, right? And there may be a time where, somebody says, we need all new string instruments, right? And that's not gonna happen every single year. So this year, more money might go to one program over another, but there needs to be some sort of 5-year strategic plan or whatever. Like this year, yes, more money is going to orchestra, but next year it's gonna be choir, and the next year it's gonna be whatever, or whatever it looks like. Like this year archery needs $1,000, but once we get that equipment, they don't need it replaced for another 5 years. And so if there's some kind of plan, that'll be easier for us to look at and say.
Agree. And she's got a lot of great processes she's going to introduce us to. one of which is literally organizing all of our grant funding in a way to see, are they potential repeat asks? We just haven't done that yet. And so that's the next step, is really working with the staff to identify what that is, because they have to have buy-in too. We're gonna need their help to push it out to their networks as well. And then through this kind of process, us rethinking of what a bigger campaign would look like. But this is our step in, the very organized step in that we have not had before.
I've got to believe faculty and staff are gonna think just like parents, and working once towards one goal or all year towards one goal is way better than I gotta ask my parents again. I gotta track again,
Yes,
I
yes.
gotta take in more checks again.
Yes, yes.
I gotta sell something else
Yeah,
again.
and I've already talked to the principal about, we're not gonna do that to parents. Yeah, that's a lot.
But that's a
Yeah.
lot for the teachers to keep track of,
That's a
even
lot.
just for their class.
Yeah, and we need to be more organized in this way. And this will be a great benefit. So I'll keep you posted on that. She's not gonna start till October. And I told her in the meantime, I would tee all the work up. I would get the numbers, I would have the conversations, I would have a very sort of lined out process for us to step into, which will allow her to get right to the work.
Probably be a lot easier to acknowledge the donors to on one list, right?
Sure, and if you can tell donors that every single time we have a performing arts event, we're handing out a brochure, and every single time you're on the back page, that's way different than, hey, this one time when we do Tea with Claire, can you sponsor it? And then the next time go to somebody else. Like, it's a lot easier to make a bigger ask if you can say, we have 5 big performances and 10 small performances throughout the whole year, and every single time you're gonna be on the back page, or every single time you're gonna be in the center spread, or whatever it is. It's a lot easier to put those ask sheets together. What are they called? I don't even know. What are they called when you, the sponsorship sheets?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to put those together
Yeah.
when and honestly, we look more professional and put together too, when it's.
My only worry is engagement, it's like you shot, now it's passed, so to speak, right? So you want that campaign to build just a little bit over a period of time, so I don't know what that looks like.
We will learn, yeah, we
Right,
will
we'll
learn, yeah.
This is, like you said, the step in, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
I think it's a great learning opportunity. I think it's much needed too.
Well, I can tell you, from being on the other side of that table, don't be afraid to keep like, people that are in this business never stop asking, even when you tell them no. They wait and they come back, and they wait and they come back, and so.
Well,
We
you're
got-
gonna teach us so
We
much
got
too.
something
Yes.
new to look at.
We really wanna hear from you about.
like to
This
look
is
at
what I
this
don't want you to do.
campaign,
This is a
So-
major plan I'm having to talk to you about.
Yeah.
So,
That's good feedback. Thank you.
but I mean, and there's a way to do it that it's not
Disrespectful.
an annoying, And there's definitely a way to do it where you're like, I'm gonna put them on the block list.
Yeah. You don't want to do that.
No,
We
definitely
want
no.
community
Yeah.
partners,
Right,
not.
Yeah, and then, like you guys talked about the Walton's Foundation already, and I'm like, yes, that is
Yes.
one Walton Foundation.
Yes.
Do you know how many individual foundations they have?
Yes.
We're gonna go.
Yes, we are.
do.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes. Thank you.
then bug the hunts.
Just a couple of other just kind of heads up, this is going to be on the next meeting, is we're going to need to establish an AI policy. So, or the foundation, so they're hosting a big thing on Thursday where it's all about AI in schools, AI in everything. So I'm going to that to sort of get a glimpse of what other organizations in this state are managing as far as education space. I can look at some other districts, but I'll have that addition for the student handbook. And we'll also bring the employee handbook. Now, we will already have started, but that's okay. They don't have to sign that right that moment. The employees don't. But I'll bring both of those things that we're going to adhere to.
if there's changes, can you just
Yeah.
shoot them to us early so
Yeah.
that we can
Yes,
ask questions ahead of time?
yes, yes. And there's not gonna be a ton, because we kind of added some changes throughout last year
Yeah.
on absenteeism, bringing your kid to work. Those are some of the things we did last year. There's not gonna be a whole lot of new changes. It's just gonna be just making sure it's fresh and updated. We're not missing out on anything. Really, that's all I've got. You've got some handouts that I got from the National Charter School Conference, week before last, and just some training pieces that I thought was valuable. We had our A+ and Artful Learning training starting on the 29th. That's the Monday, or no, it's Tuesday, whatever the Tuesday is. You are welcome to come at any point during those 4 days, Tuesday through Friday, and watch that training.
I would encourage you to come and see what they're doing. I had the opportunity when I was at the elementary school to listen for almost an hour, them kind of review what was going on, and it is exciting stuff. But it's also important for us to see, I mean, certainly those of you that have kids here, but also so we can speak to, kind of what's going on and then in the next steps in the process, because they've got a lot of foundation work done at the elementary school, and I think expanding it up here is going to be really exciting.
It's gonna be fantastic. And so Chris, Ashley, how much you know about it? So Artful Learning is a sort of a methodology that's arts integration, and we needed some consistency because that term was really loosely built and it wasn't constantly driven into curriculum. So it wasn't a very academic approach. We needed to change how we did things. So we partnered with an organization called Artful Learning. They're out of Los Angeles. It's the Leonard Bernstein model of just interdisciplinary teaching. So you're teaching all the things through some kind of commonality, a concept, or in this case, it's a concept in a piece of artwork or a piece of music or a theater piece. So the kids are making real life connections to something, and then they begin to see how all these subjects begin to interrelate. So the elementary just got through 3 years of training, and now they're a legacy school. And now we're rolling that training phase 2 into our 7th and 8th grade staff at the high school. So we'll have a streamlined pre-K, which they're gonna pre-K to 8th grade concept methodology of teaching, which will be fantastic. In addition, because we're doing this really scaffold phase 2, all of our new staff at the elementary will roll into the training. So we're gonna catch everyone up. So they'll go along in the phase 2 sort of at the same pace. Really excited about that. This is the first time Artful Learning has ever had that ability, the timing wise, to do it this way. Because of the work that we've done and our connections and our community partners and our network and just the extraordinary work that they're doing, Artful Learning has asked us to be their model lab school, which is extraordinary. What that looks like is they would use Arkansas Arts during the summer to train other schools. So other schools would come here and we would be the training.
I mean, it's national recognition
Yeah.
for our
It's
school.
huge.
It's impressive.
That they are gonna kick it off and announce that at the NAMS conference. And it would be revenue for us, facility rental. They're also gonna use some of our staff as trainers. So it's additional revenue for those staff. They will pay them, the schools coming would pay those staff. And it's not only teachers, it's Rachel as a leader, who would have a voice in how you manage it organizationally. But it's a big win for us to have this recognition that we're doing all the right things. So Artful Learning has never worked with a charter school. They've never worked with an arts charter school. So we just have the perfect mix. They've had some autonomy because of our charter abilities to merge in around. The staff have just jumped in.
But
numbers are reflecting it too.
And then there was.
Yeah, the test, yes.
Which is what I
Yeah, the
love
test
about it.
was-
So
It works.
it's an
It uses a
incredible-
different side of the kiddo's brain and it's effective.
And it takes away the silos for the teachers, so they're really building the foundation and making the connections, and they're looking at curriculum both horizontally and vertically, and they're all doing it together, right? So you aren't just saying integrate art into your classroom, integrate art into your math lesson, and then this one math teacher's doing something, then this one, like they are really have worked so hard to get out of the silos and really team building, build the foundation, work together both horizontally and vertically. It's impressive to see the plan that they've built over the last 3 years.
It is, and it's just, it's amazing. So I'm hoping, and I'll get more information if I haven't already, to give you information about the NAMS conference. I would love for you guys to register and attend, because we're gonna present. And there's probably estimated about 375 people coming over from all across the nation. It's art educators, museum educators, higher ed, it's everybody. So we're gonna present best practices. We're gonna present at the elementary school. They're gonna tour around. We've got some, Ann Wenzel's gonna do an installation piece here. We've got her back this year, teaching English. So we're gonna really shine with our staff. U of A Art Department is one of the sponsors, so they're gonna be here. We've got some other people that are gonna be here. Crystal Bridges is gonna be here. They're gonna present. Walton Art Center, I believe. So it's forming into being a really cool thing. Yeah, they've never been here before in the state, the conference hasn't, so we're gonna really do our best to show off. Well, that's all I have.
Does anyone else have any discussion items? We need to go into executive session.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. We're good. Need to sign